Hi friends, welcome to IAS and College Connect YouTube channel. In these videos, we are going to discuss about what is two-dimensional array. In previous videos, we discussed about what is one-dimensional array. In these videos, we are going to discuss about what is two-dimensional array. Let's see what is a two-dimensional array. In two-dimensional array, so we are going to create an array with row and columns. That is, it's just like a matrix format. So here we are going to how to create a syntax for the array. So this is a syntax for creating a two-dimensional array. So first we are going to mention the data type, then that should be followed by the array name with two square bracket, or else first we need to give the data type, then we need to give the array name, then that should be followed by two square bracket, or else we can create the data type that should be followed by square bracket and then followed by the array name. So this is the way how we are going to declare an array and define an array. So we are going to mention the array name and then new data type. Then we are going to mention the row size that should be followed by the column size. This is for what? This is for the row and then this is for what? This is for column. So it's going to be create the array like this. So here you see this one is going to be what? Row. This one is going to be what? Row. Okay, so this one is what? It is column. Okay, so all these are column. Okay, so here we are going to have the array locations. As you already know that array is going to be start with 0, 1, 2. Okay, so here also you see the row is going to be start with 0, 1, 2, 3. In case you want to access this particular locations means first you need to mention the row size, row name that should be followed by the column name. So here in case if you want to access this particular locations, you need to mention the row name, row size. Okay, row index locations that is 0 and then column and index locations 1. Okay, so in case if you want to access this, first you need to mention the row that should be mention the column and size that is a 2. Okay, so here the same is applicable for this. Okay, so 1 row is 1 and then column is what? 0. So row is 1 and then column is what? 1. So here row is what? 1 and then column is what? It's 2. So here you see the index location is 2, right? Okay, so row is 2 and then column is 0. Row is 2 and then column is what? 1. Row is 2 and then column is what? 2. So here we are going to be mention the row size first. Row is 3 and then column is what? 0. So here row is 3 and then column is what? 1. The row is 3 and then column is what? 2. So likewise we need to mention the row that should be followed by column. So you want to know the length of the row means you need to use the array name dot length. In case you want to access the column length of that particular row means first you need to mention the array name that should be followed by the particular row index locations, then that should be followed by the length. So it is going to be written the length of the column of the particular row. Okay, so here you see we are going to see the implementations of how the two-dimensional array to be performed. Okay, so now hope you understand the clear picture of how the two-dimensional array will look like, how to access the two-dimensional array. In the demo part, we are going to see in detail how to create and declare and assign the values to the array locations. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create one simple packages that is package name is what? Two-dimensional array. Under this two-dimensional array, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a simple class the class name is what? The two-dimensional, two-dim, 2D array. Okay, so here you see what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a simple main method. Under this main method, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create an array int. Okay, so here I'm just going to create some string. Okay, so here I'm just going to create an array type of what? String, and then array name is what? Warehouse. Here I'm just going to be declare it. Okay, so later I'm just going to get the input from the user and then I'm just going to assign it. Okay, so here I'm just going to create for getting the input from the user, I'm just going to create a scanner classes then new scanner, and then I'm just going to be mention system dot in. Okay, so here I'm just going to get the input. Enter the size of the array you want to create. Enter the size of the array you want to create. So here for that I'm just going to create one variable int size. So now you see I'm just taking this size as for both the row as well as for the column. Okay, so I'm just going to create an variable size equal to scanner object, which is going to be what? S dot next in. Okay, so once the user is going to give the values, I'm just going to take this as a size for both the row as well as the column. And I'm not going to get it for separately for the row as well as for the column. In single value, I'm just going to assign this value consider as for row as well as the column, and then new. And here I'm just going to be mention the string of the size. Okay, so size I'm just going to be mentioned. Okay, so row size, then that should be followed by the column size. Now you see the size is going to be created, array size is going to be get created. Now we want to store the input to the particular variable, particular array location. For that, what we are going to do, we are going to use a nested for loop. Okay, so not single for loop, we need to use the nested for loop. So that I'm just going to create for int I is equal to 0, I is greater than, first we need to access the length of the row. Okay, so we need to know the length of the row size. Okay, so that array name dot length method, then I plus plus. Done. Okay, so once we access the row length, then we are going to access the length of the column in that particular row. So for that, we are going to use another for loop. Then I'm just going to use I is equal to int j equal to 0, and then j is less than warehouse warehouse of I dot length. Okay, so what this warehouse of I dot length is going to do is, so it is going to be written the row size of that particular, sorry, column size of the particular row. Okay, so then it's going to be what? Sorry, j plus plus, j plus plus. Okay, so here is the, we are going to use the nested for loop to access the particular array locations. Now we are going to ask the user to enter the input. Okay, so here we are going to ask the user enter the product you want to store on I, that is first I'm just going to be print the I values, and then I'm just going to be print the j values. Okay, so here I'm just going to ask the user which product you want, which product you want to store it on the particular locations. So then I'm just going to be mention the array name, and then here I'm just going to be pass the both I values as well as the j values. Then I'm just going to read the input from the user s dot next. Okay, once the user is going to give the input, okay, so after finishing the for loop, all the row and column is going to be filled with some data. Then we need to print it, right? Okay, so for that for that also we need to use nested for loop. Okay, so data for data. I'm just printing this statement to show the difference between reading the input and printing the input. Okay, so for printing the informations also we need the nested for loop, so that I'm just copying this. So no changes. Instead of reading this, so we are going to remove this s dot next in, and we are going to get this particular variable. So instead of enter the product, so we are going to on the product on this on particular room number, room is plus variable. Okay, so now you see we done it. Okay, so first we are going to run it. Once we are getting the output, I'm going to explain the complete flow. So it is asking the size of the array. I'm just going to give 2. Okay. So now you see it is asking the product which you want to store it. Oh, sorry. So here you see we are not getting the proper one. Okay. So 0, 0 it is printing. Actually, it is, we need to put I plus 1 and then J plus 1. Okay. Same thing is applicable for this also. Okay. So now I'm just going to rerun it. Let's check. Okay, so I'm just going to give 2. It is, yes, it's working fine. Enter the product you want to store on room number 1111. Okay, so I'm just going to be mention phone. Okay, so enter the product you want to store on room 12. I'm just going to be mention laptop and then mic and then tab. Here you see the two-dimensional is working fine. Okay, so it's printing the data. Let's see the working flow of this particular program on the whiteboard. So now you see, we are going to see the execution flow of this particular program. So we are going to start the execution from the main method so that the warehouse is the variable is going to be get created. The size as of now we are not given. Then we are having one more variable, the size. Okay, so then we are having the scanner object. So scanner object that should be followed by we are asking the user to enter the size you want to create. Once the user is going to give the values, then we are going to store the values on which variable? Size. Okay, so after that, what we are going to do? We are going to create an array of size. Okay, so the values which I given is 2, right? So that it is going to be create 2 into 2 matrix. Okay, so it's going to be created like this 2 into 2 matrix. Okay, so here after that what we are doing, we are going to use the nested for loop. We are going to use the nested for loop. For first it is going to do the initialization, that is I is going to be 0. So then it is going to check the condition, that is I which is going to be less than warehouse dot length, as I already told that. So array name dot length, that is warehouse dot length, is going to be written the size of the row. Okay, so the size of the row is going to be what? 1 and 2. Okay, so 2. Okay, so then it is going to be what? 2, right? Okay, so it's going to check it is true, right? Okay, so it is true. What, so that what it is going to do, it is get inside. So now you see inside this we are having another for loop. Okay, so inside this we are having another for loop, that is j is equal to, so j is equal to 0. Okay. So then we are going to check the condition. So what's the condition? J is less than warehouse of I dot length. So as I already told that warehouse of I dot length, that is a 0, right? Okay. So 0 dot length is going to be written the number of column on that particular row 0. Okay. So here you see this is a row, right? Of this particular row, how many columns we are having? 0 and 1, that is a 2, right? Okay, so it is also 2. Okay, so that it is true or false? Yes, it is true, right? Okay, so that it is going to be get inside. So in this double quotes we given something, that is enter the product, the product enter the product you want to, store on I plus 1. I plus 1 is what? I is 0 and I plus 1 is 1. J plus 1. J is 0. So J plus 1 is 1. So it is asking which product you want to store it on the room number 1. Okay. So here you see what the next statement is. So it is asking input. But what we written on here? Warehouse of, warehouse of I of I. Okay. So what is I values here? We are having warehouse of I is what? 0. Okay. So warehouse of J is what? 0. The values which I given is mobile, right? Okay. So here is the in the locations of the row 0 and column is 0. Okay. So here row is 0 and column is 0. In this location is going to be stored mobile. Okay, so now after that, it is going to be moved to the next iteration. It is going to be moved to the j values only, not I values. Okay, so j is going to be incremented by 1. Now the j is going to be what? 1. J is going to be what? So 1. So it's going to be check the condition. It's going to check the condition. J is less than warehouse of I dot length. Okay, so what is I dot length values? It is going to be 2. That is I value is what? 0. Okay, so it's 2. Okay, so j values is 1. J less than 2. It's true, right? Okay, so that what it is going to do, it get inside. Again, it is going to be print the statement. Enter the product you want to store it on. I values is 0 and j values is now 1. Okay, so it is asking which values you want to store it on. Row number 1, 2. So it's going to be moved to the next line s dot next int. Okay, so s dot in next int, the values which I given is, so here warehouse of, so I of j. Okay, so what is I values here? You are having warehouse of I values is 0 and j values is what? 1. Okay, under this particular locations, it is asking which product we want to store. So values which we given is laptop, right? So now in this particular location, row values is 0 and then column and values is 1. Under this, it is going to be store the values laptop. Okay, so after that, again it is going to be check the next condition. So that what it is going to do, now the j values is going to be incremented by 1. So the j values is 3. So it's going to check the conditions. What's the conditions? J is less than warehouse of I dot length. Okay, so I values is what? 0. So what is I 0th locations? Warehouse of 0 dot length is going to be 2, right? Okay, so 2. So it's telling that 3 is less than 2. No, it is wrong, right? Okay, so that what it is do, if it is false, it is going to be execute the statement which is outside of this for loop. There is a no statement. So what it is going to do, it is move to the next iterations. Okay, so of there is no statement, so that directly it is going to move to the next iteration. That is I values is going to be incremented by 1. Now the I values is what? 1. So it's going to be check the condition. Okay, so here what's the conditions we given? I is less than warehouse dot length. It is 2, right? Okay, so what is I values is what? 1. 1 less than 2. It is true, right? So again j values is going to be initialized. It is now move to the next row. Okay, so likewise, it is going to be get the input from the user and it is going to assign to this particular location. So once it receive all this value, then it is going to be start printing the values. The same for loop concept is applicable on here. Only things on here is we are going to be print the values which is present on this particular array location. Hope you understand how the two-dimensional array is working. So if you like these videos, please click the subscribe and bell button. Don't forget to share this video with your friends. Thank you.